Hi, everybody. It's James of CEO Jimbo Show. I have another one of these for you. Um, I made this chart, made this box. My eyes red. I don't know exactly what I did to it, but I don't know. I'm sure it'll probably show up in the film here. I think it's kind of more bloodshot than pink eye. Like I injured it a little bit. Anyway, working on that. This is MH370 again. I've been working on this for the last 2 weeks since the last video on this. My topic has been on um, people. This is kind of section 3 of my book, and the featured person is Blaine Gibson, who was um, one of the people that found the parts or just took an interest in the parts. Trying to sort that out. I mean, I think some people would say that he was instrumental in finding of the parts, and he all but found every last one of them that has been found. And if you talk to somebody else, they basically say that he kind of had something to do with it, um, but wasn't really that instrumental. Anyway, here we go. Here, I don't really have too much on this. It's the plane was a 777 Malaysian Airlines. This is a cargo version of it, and I just got working on this to kind of cut to the chase a little bit. This Blaine Gibson person has kind of become famous to some degree in this topic, and I kind of have come to know him as the Indiana Jones guy, and I think that it's not even my idea. I think somebody else kind of put that forth, where he wears sort of a Indiana Jones hat and just kind of has that general look to him. Um, anyway, I meant to have my tablet. I think all I have to do is kind of turn it back on. Yeah, here it is. This is section 4 of my book, of 4 sections. And it's currently other. Section 1 is witnesses, section 2 is parts, section 3 is navigational nuances, and then the section 4 is other nuances and subtleties, and with sort of an emphasis on communication and timing, plus other stuff. And chapter 13 is people, 14 places, 15 things, 16 other. There just didn't seem to be any other logical way to do that without it being too confusing and so on. It's kind of almost oversimplified, but anyway, so section 4 is introduction here. And again, people, places, things, and other. And then chapter 13 is people, where I was focused on all this week. I think therefore I am. I don't know if this is going to stick. This is a book I'm writing. I'm subject to a lot of changes. Um, section 1, affiliation characters, and that's where this Blaine Gibson kind of fits. He just seems to have a need for affiliation in this. Maybe I do too, and so on. Section 2 is authorities, um, like the CEO of Malaysian Airlines comes to mind. Um, so characters here, and we get right into the four affiliation characters that I came up with is Blaine Gibson, who I is kind of the feature of this video, and then the second one is Vance, who is a investigator for the National Transportation Board of Canada, the Canada Safety Transportation Board, or whatever that is. Florence, I don't know if that's her first name or last name, but it's a female journalist that does aviation accident reporting and investigation. She wrote a book on the subject, and four other. There's at least two 777 captains that seem to have a need to come in here. I just watched a video tonight, and I hadn't been watching a lot of videos on it, but I watched a couple tonight and so on. There's one Harding, I think is his last name, Hardy, like the Hardy Boys, and he seems to have a say in the matter. There's another captain too that I really don't know his name offhand, but I'm sure I'll find more details about him and what he has to say about all this. So Blaine, this is kind of the basics on him. Guy possessed. He's just really, he was an attorney and I guess kind of a retired attorney, and this has just become his passion. And he was living in Seattle, Washington, and no one really knows where he is now. He's sort of all but in hiding because of like death threats, probably like in the Malaysia area or somewhere like that. Found about everything. It's funny in Wikipedia, if you kind of look at kind of the general thing on MH370, he's not even mentioned. They mention all of this information about parts that have found, and I didn't see his name in there at all. And I looked maybe like a week ago just to kind of like check on that. There's another section in Wikipedia about somebody that was murdered. That was a Malaysian authority that was to receive parts from Gibson, and he showed up dead. And I think they think that he was murdered and so on. And so there is a Wikipedia article on that, and it mentions Gibson. So he made Wikipedia. I know that now. Just found that today. So this is like a SP, that's part one, subpart two, Die Hard. He's just a real Die Hard character. So I came up with that. I was trying to define what I was reading in these excerpts. Keen to keep the plain and truth about what happened. He's just possessed to keep going until the plane is found, kind of thing. Oh yeah, this was his Indiana Jones character. Somebody in a kind of a comment section of a article calls him a hippie, but I think he's kind of more known as like a Indiana Jones wannabe kind of character. So that was that. Then we go on to the latest findings. The latest known finding was the landing gear door, and it sounds like there's been kind of some findings since that he was trying to present to the authorities of Malaysia, and that's when this Malaysian authority receiver figure dropped dead. I don't know exactly when that happened. It mentions his name in here. We'll kind of get to that. It's kind of got a mind of its own here. Friend died. This is what we're talking about here. This is friend was Raza. He was killed. And I mentioned it, his full name. This was independent.com. There's a, we'll get to the Wikipedia one on that gives his full name here in a minute. It's about midnight here on a Monday night, and I'm really somewhat tired. I'm about to kind of start getting ready to go to bed, kind of thing. It's claimed that the murder took place in the effort to hinder the investigation. So Blaine is saying that he's saying that he thinks that this murder was to kind of keep well, the MH370 from being found. I've been mentioned lists. There's like lists of things. There's a huge list of fishermen witnesses, fishermen that had found parts and this and that and so forth. What comes to mind here is there's a lady that victim family. There was an American guy that was on this plane, the only adult American. His girlfriend made mention that in some news articles, or at least one, that she kind of suspects that there are people that are trying to like keep the plane from being found too. The latest find, I think this is the Wikipedia. No, I don't know what this one is. There had debris. I think that there's some that they're trying to kind of wait for a safe time to try to present it to the right people. This Blaine Gibson person is, and meanwhile he's sort of like in hiding to keep from getting murdered himself, so forth. Yet there are certain elements in Malaysia mafia types who seem to be very much against me and against the search and my efforts. There's this source, this Roxy Simmons, March 13. So this is all fairly fresh stuff. This article was March 13, 2023. Should have my retrieve date on it. Down here maybe. I missed that one, but anyway, I think that was just today that I got that. I have to go look that up again. So anyway, well, I think that's about it. I just made this. You can see this just a few minutes ago. This is just an idea that I got in my head, and it's really nothing, but here it is. The x-axis here is power. It almost chose wealth or richness, money, but decide on power, but this is like percent, 25%, 50%, 75, 100% power. That's like the president of the United States is what I came up with here. Like 100% power, most powerful person in the world kind of thing. This is security detail needed, 0%. Like for instance, opposite of the president here is street performer. This is sort of like your most basic street performer that doesn't have a cell phone, doesn't have a place to live, perhaps the whole bit. It's like doesn't need much security, any security really, or doesn't get any or whatever. So 25%, 50, 75, 100, so forth. So the president needs like 100% security. If he doesn't get it, he gets assassinated, kind of thing here. Where nobody, maybe this should be clown, and the whole world loves a clown, so who's going to shoot a clown, kind of thing. This is doctor, attorney, airline pilot, police officer. It just so happens that this guy Blaine that we're talking about, Blaine, whatever his last name is, was an attorney. Maybe retired, but once an attorney, always an attorney. It seems like maybe he's in about this zone here. He's saying that he needs security because people are trying to kill him. And maybe that's about how much power he has. He certainly doesn't have a motorcade. I think he's kind of fallen out of wealth where, he's wherever he's living, he probably doesn't have much more than a bicycle or something like that to get around these days. I don't know. Kind of like me. This is like big business person. That one comes to mind is like Carlos Slim in Mexico City, who drives around in a motorcade of Bentley Bentegas, with the security detail, with weapons, guns to protect him and that kind of thing. And so, he's got that much power and he needs that much security detail, large security detail needed. Just self-defense, is all a doctor, attorney, airline pilot, or police officer needs. And again, Blaine is an attorney, so he kind of just naturally fits into that group and still seems to, as a celebrity MH370 extraordinaire person kind of thing, finder. Anyway, that's all. One last thing. This is kind of, that other one is kind of a brand new thought that, just from working on this over the last 2 weeks and so on. This is kind of an ongoing thought that I finally kind of wrote down, but it's like Hollywood Squares idea, where it's like you've got kind of like your this is like your affiliation group. These people all have kind of a need for affiliation to be in the MH370 search. You got your Blaine Gibson, who this story is about tonight, and then Vance, who's your Canada investigator, Florence, who's the book author. Both of these are book authors on the subject, and she's the journalist, aviation accident investigator. You got 777 pilot Hardy. You got 777 pilot, the other guy who kind of know him by character, but I don't know his name, kind of thing. Godfrey, the guy that's kind of behind the Whisper. He's also, these two kind of guys are kind of aligned too. They both have kind of the same ideology that the plane was hijacked by the captain and so on. And I think they've kind of met personally, have got discussed things and so forth. And you got these were kind of tricky. These last three were the last three that I came up with, and Malaysian Airlines CEO guy who I think was kind of a character in the onset of this, but I don't think he's around anymore. I mean, active in this. I don't think he's the CEO anymore, and I don't think he's been in any of the recent videos or anything like that. Inmarsat CEO. It's actually like the executive vice president of air navigation or something like that. That I think is probably sort of like more um, more involved in like in public um, uh, announcements and stuff like that. And NTSB Jim Hall. I just was trying to come up with somebody, and I also said Sully, the famous airline pilot that landed in the Hudson, but I decided on Jim Hall instead. And I'm kind of guessing that I only know of like one video that kind of had him, say something about this, and I sort of have a hunch that there's probably more on that if as I dig deeper into like text and on this, that there's probably more comments by him, perhaps more from him than Sully. But if it turns out that there's more comments from Sully, then I'll probably change that to Sully. Anyway, that's all I've got for this time. And next time, it's probably going to go back to witnesses because I'll be working on section 1 as I rotate and so on. And I don't remember exactly what's kind of up in the rotation on witnesses. Actually, Blaine Gibson will come up a little bit on that too, but the focus won't be on Blaine Gibson. It'll be on witnesses. Despite that he has interviewed them, it's not that he's interviewed them, it's that they've been interviewed by him, kind of thing. Anyway, hope you like this. Please give a thumbs up and subscribe and so on. But be well and have a nice day. Bye.